On this episode of WTF, we are showing you a new technique for making keto shrimp noodles. Hello and welcome to WTF, where we help you transform food in your kitchen. I'm Janie.
And I'm Hannah.
And on this episode of WTF, we are showing you a brand new technique for making keto noodles using shrimp. Now, if you've been with us for a while, you know that we're putting out new episodes every week, so remember to subscribe. And also, our giveaways are back, so stick around to make sure to enter to win. Now, I'm going to let Hannah kind of start you right through the technique for making the keto shrimp noodles, because this is a really easy recipe. And as we're going along, I'm just going to be kind of talking a little bit about how this noodle's coming together, but I really want you guys to see the process from start to finish. All right, Hannah, can you talk us through what the basic technique is for making this noodle? It requires no alginate, no gelling agents, no hydrocolloids. How does it work?
Yeah, of course. So the main ingredient, of course, excluding the shrimp, is going to be the Transglutaminase TI, as well as our sodium tripolyphosphate. And these two ingredients are really going to work together to, one, bind the proteins, as well as give us that really nice bite that we're looking for that comes from a noodle.
Yeah. Okay, let's go into it. What are the first steps that we need to do for this recipe?
Yeah. So here we have a bowl of peeled and deveined shrimp. So you're going to want to remove the shells and the veins, of course, before pureeing them. So we're going to go ahead and add these right into our food processor. And we can go ahead and just give this a few good pulses to start us off. And then all you have to do is add the rest of your ingredients and pulse again. So we have our Transglutaminase TI right here.
Yep. For all the proportions for today's recipes, just click on the link in the description below. So it'll all be there, don't worry.
And our sodium tripolyphosphate. We have some salt just to taste. And just some neutral oil. We are using canola just to help with the emulsification. And we are just going to blend this until it's a pretty fine puree. You can take the extra step and strain this. I've seen that done. I haven't found it super necessary. I haven't been doing it, and it still gives you a great outcome.
If you watched our episode all about transglutaminase a few weeks ago, you'll know that the TI in this recipe is helping with the bind altogether. But the main ingredient in here is going to be the sodium tripolyphosphate, so that's kind of what's making it all come together. It has a very unique property of encouraging water retention. So that's what's really going to give this noodle a particular bite. One of the things about keto noodles made from an alginate solution is that it tends to be a little bit kind of getting that gel texture, and what we were really looking for is a bouncy, chewy, kind of almost ramen-like texture here. So that's kind of what you're going to be getting more when you do this particular recipe. And the reason why we're not letting this rest overnight, which we normally like to do when we use transglutaminase, is because you don't really need to, because the tripolyphosphate is helping with that binding action. So the addition of the TI is going to give you just a little bit more elasticity, which you'll see in a little bit when we pipe this into noodles, because without it, it becomes a little too solid. Yeah. So we're really looking for a balance of texture here. And if you're wondering, if you're like, hey, I don't really like shrimp, can I do this technique with pork? Can I do it with beef, chicken? I would say theoretically yes, but the texture is not going to be as nice because shrimp itself has a really great texture. So I would say if you want it, you're like, I don't want shrimp and I want to stay away with it, I would recommend experimenting with maybe pork, maybe chicken, but I really don't encourage beef. So you can always play around with it. As always, our recipes are a base for you guys to do your own experimentations as well. All right, so we've pulsed the shrimp. Yep. What do we do next?
I'm just going to give it one more quick pulse, make sure everything's in there, and then we can go ahead and add this into our piping bag. And quick note, I don't know if I said before, but the shrimp is raw, so if you have cooked shrimp that you're using this for, it's not gonna bind together.
Yes, because by that time the proteins have been denatured, so they're not going to react to it the same way.
We have a small hole cut in the bottom of our piping bag already. That can really be up to you on how wide you want that hole to be, but I would recommend probably the size of a linguine noodle would be the maximum.
Yeah, and I think right before the cameras turned on, Hannah and I were talking a little bit about the inspiration for this recipe, and it really comes from about like 10 so years ago when modernist cuisine became like a big thing. One of the pioneers in that particular movement, Wiley Dufresne, he did a lot of this type of work. Obviously in order to make like really different, I believe he did shrimp noodles, but he strained it and it was like very smooth.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the impetus behind, our work today. So I definitely want to give him credit because amazing chef. But we want to adapt these recipes and techniques for things that everybody can do, and you don't need to be, a Michelin chef in order to enjoy the results.
Yeah, and I think something about these noodles that's great in the fact that they're not strained is you still kind of get that shrimp's like snap when you're eating them, so it doesn't really feel like you're just having something that's shrimp flavored.
Yep.
It's more like you're having shrimp, but it just happens to be in a noodle.
If you do decide you want to strain it to see what the texture is, I would recommend maybe like a 250 or 400 micron super bag available through our website. We'll link to it if you decide you want to go that route. Yeah.
Okay, so we have our shrimp ready to go, and we have our water set on 130 here, so you don't need it simmering or boiling even, and this is really just going to set the TI in it and get these noodles to. So what we're going to go ahead and do is just pipe these right into the water, and as you can see it's all sticking together, and depending on what length you want, just go ahead and snip it with a pair of scissors.
Yeah, and the 130 is really just to both cook the shrimp and to set the TI. In our transglutaminase episode, we talked about how when you heat TI up to about 130, it helps to activate the enzyme faster. But if you have this set to boiling, it actually has the opposite effect, so we don't recommend trying to boil this particular shrimp.
Yeah, and that's another reason why we are kind of not going and recommending chicken, because as we know, chicken needs to cook to 160. That temperature just doesn't really work with the TI, so shrimp only needs to cook to 130, so it all kind of works out well.
All right, so once you have the amount of noodles that you want, how long do you recommend they simmer that for?
I would say probably about 3 to 5 minutes, but the nice thing is you can keep these noodles in the water, so they're not soaking up any of the water or anything.
Yeah, so if you are trying to prep this ahead for, let's say if you want to offer it at a restaurant or you have people coming over, this is a dish that you can make ahead and then keep. I think we even try to freeze it, right? Freeze thaw?
They were frozen for about a week and they came out perfectly fine. Just ran them under water for a bit, warm water, and they thawed out perfectly, and they look great, taste great, so you can absolutely do that.
All right, so while we're finishing simmering this, we're just going to take a quick break and we're going to reset the table to get it ready for plating, because we have this delicious coconut broth that we want to, of course, eat it with, and so then we want to make sure that we have this table all set. So we'll be right back. All right, and we're back and we're just about ready to plate the broth. But before we do that, I wanted to quickly talk about this week's giveaway, which will be a bag of the Transglutaminase TI and a bag of the sodium tripolyphosphate. In order to enter to win, just leave in the comments below any other type of recipe that you would like to see us tackle in the future. So we are currently working all the way through, I would say, to our late summer, early fall types of recipes. So anything you would like to see around that time of the year, let us know and we'll work on it. All right, Hannah, so how do we know when the noodles are ready? Are we looking for anything in particular, texturally, visually?
Yeah, so you're gonna notice that the shrimp, it's turned that classic pink color. So you'll know that it's done when it turns that color. And It's probably been about 3 minutes or so, 5 minutes, and they are all ready to go. So we're going to go ahead and collect these.
Yeah.
Up.
So my favorite thing, one of my favorite things about this recipe is how quick and easy it is. So literally you just saw Hannah make the shrimp on camera, pipe it and cook it, and now we're ready to eat. So this, if you're looking for a weeknight meal, this is a great way to eat fresh. And like we said, you can also then save your extras for later. You can freeze it up and bring it out another day. This is really, I would say, one of my favorites in terms of easy use, preparation, and also, of course, tastiness, most important of all.
All right. So they're really looking like udon noodles. Which, great.
That's what I was looking for earlier, udon. I said ramen, but I was thinking udon. Udon noodles, yep.
So we made this really delicious Thai coconut curry over here. Has fish sauce in it, lime juice, a little bit of xylitol for sweetness because we're keeping this keto. And it's absolutely delicious. So pour this over top, and we have our finished soup.
That looks awesome, and we can just garnish it with a little bit of all these, I am not a cilantro person. I know it's always nice to garnish with cilantro, but I don't like to eat it. I'm gonna do it anyway, so just so you can see how nice it looks. That looks amazing, so I'm gonna eat it. All right, I think I needed a bigger spoon, but that's okay.
Yeah.
So I love this noodle. Obviously, you can cut it to whatever length you want. But we should have cut one shorter one for camera, but that's okay. I don't care. All right, I'm making a mess.
That's all right.
Woo! I'm gonna take it. All right, taking it with my hands. Sorry, people. It is really good. If you like shrimp, you are going to absolutely love this recipe. And like we said, if you don't love shrimp, I would say, and you want to sub it out, or pork would be my suggestion. Is the I forget what the temp for pork is, but pork can usually be done a little bit under, I think.
Yeah, I think like 135, 140 for pork. So give it a shot. Let us know how it comes out.
This is really, really good. I think you're absolutely going to love this recipe. All the links will be in the description below. And of course, if you have any questions about this recipe or anything else, just let us know. And until next week, from here in the Modernist Pantry Test Kitchen, I'm Janie.
And I'm Hannah.